Hi everyone, this is Erica from Gokce Capital. Today we're bringing you 7 tips for buying land. And this is part of our Gokce Tips series. So if you like this video, check out some of our other videos about vacant land or buying land. Okay, so first tip, check the allowable uses. So the most important thing here is to look up your local zoning. And you're doing this so you can make sure that you're able to use the lot in the way that you would like to. So if I take one of our properties, this is a property located in Highlands County, Florida. The address is 5313 April Way. I can find the county GIS map, so this is the Highlands County Interactive Map. Look up the address and I'll get information on the property. And then Highlands County has a lot of different layers, but I'll just click on zoning here and I'll see it's R1. Now Highlands County also has its zoning ordinance online. So I can go to that, and I've already pulled it up here, and I check the R1 residential district to look at the allowable uses. In this case it says it's the same as R1A, so I go to R1A. They said permitted uses are the same as EU, so again I go up to EU. And here are all the permitted uses. So most important for the vast majority of folks is probably this one. It's single family dwelling, so you can only have one family and it cannot be a mobile home here. Now in the same vein, you also want to dig a little deeper into other building regulations, since zoning isn't just about allowable uses. It also has a lot of other regulations in it that can sometimes make it difficult to build on a lot. So let's go back to our previous example. All right, so I'm back here. We went over the permitted uses. Now we see that there is some other text in the zoning ordinance, and it includes minimum lot requirements, minimum lot coverage, minimum yard requirements, or this is also commonly called setbacks, and maximum height. So all of these are important to look at, but you want to pay careful attention to setbacks, because if the parcel's an odd shape, the setback may make it difficult to build. And you also want to check the maximum lot coverage, because this means that you cannot build on the whole property. So you want to check that you have enough room to build. Again, if you have an odd shaped lot, this can sometimes make it difficult. And you do want to check minimum lot requirements just to make sure that the lot is actually big enough to build on. And if it isn't, you can speak with the planning department again. Sometimes properties are older and they predate current zoning, so they are grandfathered in. And you do want to check that, because if that's the case, then you don't have to worry about all of these requirements. And finally, you may also want to give the building department a call. They are often a separate department from the planning department, and they cover the building code, which is a little different from zoning. Building code dictates what kind of structure can be built. It's really around fire safety and structural safety. But you may want to just give them a call to go over all their permitting requirements if you did want to build. And if you're interested in a specific kind of home, like a mobile home or a tiny home, you may also want to speak to them about that. Also, if you're interested in any unique materials, some folks are thinking about things like sandbag homes, underground homes, adobe homes, something that's a little out of the ordinary. You also want to check with the building department to see if building code regulates material usage. All right, number 3, check topography. Broadly speaking, you just want to take a look at the lot and see if the physical terrain seems like it would be conducive to building. Now, it's always best if you can visit the lot yourself, but if you can't, you can check a property in Google Maps 3D view to try and get a general sense of how steep any slopes may be. And we'll take a look at an example here quickly. So I'm going to take our 5313 April Way again and plug the GPS coordinates into Google Maps. Here we go. And then when I take a look at it in 3D view, see it's very flat, so no concerns around slope here. It is wooded, so I would expect that I would have to clear this lot. And that's another thing to note, but I don't see any other terrain issues like river, structures, anything like that that would be a red flag on Google Maps. And another thing to note here is sometimes zoning may prohibit building on lands that have slope above a certain angle. So you'll also want to check that as well if you see that the property does have a hill or a slope to it. So number 4, check for wetlands. And we've covered this in some of our other videos, but generally speaking, at a very high level, if there are wetlands on the property, you can't build on it. And wetlands, it's a federal designation, a certain type of ecology that is considered important to the waterways of the US. There's a lot more to it than that, but the key thing here is that the federal government designates wetlands. That means you can find where wetlands are located by going to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Wetlands Mapper. And we'll do an example here. So again, I'm going to take 5313 April Way, and I'm going to go to the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Service's National Wetlands Inventory. And you can Google this, but the URL is up here if you wanted to copy it. And go into the Wetlands Mapper. Copy over the GPS coordinates. And there you go. Nothing shows up, which is good. That's exactly what you want to see. If there were wetlands, there would be a green polygon that shows up, and that covers the area of the designated wetland. So at a bare minimum, just check the National Wetlands Inventory, make sure there's no wetlands. And I'll leave with a note that some states also designate their own wetlands. It's designated at the state level, so it won't show up in the U.S. Fish and Wildlife Wetlands Mapper. So if you really wanted to be thorough, you would check with the state, see if they have their own map, and make sure that there isn't a state designated wetland as well. All right, number 5, check for a PERC test. So this is very important if you are buying a rural parcel where there is no public sewer available. And this is going to be the case in many rural areas, even areas that do have a number of homes in the surrounding vicinity. So if there's no public sewer, that generally means you need a septic system. Now, to get a septic system installed, you will need a septic permit from the relevant county agency. Each county will have slightly different requirements, so you will want to give that agency a call to go over the septic permit requirements, but almost all of them will require what's called a PERC test, and this is a test of the water absorption rate of the soil. Basically, they just want to make sure that water will filter through the soil and that a septic system will actually work. So the biggest thing you can do before you've bought a parcel, I should say, is just to ask the current owner if a PERC test has ever been done. In many cases, if no one has ever started the process of trying to build on the parcel, there may be no PERC test at all. At that point, you either decide whether you want to go ahead and hire a consultant to do the PERC test before you buy, or whether you think the price or the lot makes sense without a PERC test, and then you'll have to do a PERC test later and hope it passes. Now, I will say that even if a PERC test fails, there are sometimes ways to try to help the soil absorb or help that absorption rate. That's going into a little more detail, but the important thing is you want to know what you're getting into as far as whether there's a PERC test or not before you buy the land, and make the appropriate decision with the information that you have. So number 6 is check for legal and physical access. Physical access, again, it's best to go out to the parcel yourself and just make sure that you can get there. If you can't do that, you can also go back into Google Maps, as we did before, and look for a road in the satellite image. The trickier thing is checking for legal access, and to do that, you can first start by calling the county to confirm that the road, if you do see one, is in fact a public road. Now, if it isn't, the next step would be to check for access easements, and these would be recorded in the public record. Sometimes the easement will be referred to in the current deed, so you can ask the seller for the deed and see if it's there. If it isn't, you're either going to have to ask a title company to help you do the search for the easement, or if you're a little more savvy, you can search through the clerk's records yourself and try to find the easement. And I will say at this point, it also doesn't hurt to give the county clerk a call yourself. Sometimes they can help you find an easement, not always. You can't rely on them, but it doesn't hurt to ask. And finally, you want to verify ownership. So at a bare minimum, you want to get a copy of the vesting deed from the owner just to confirm that they are the actual owner of the parcel. So at a bare minimum, get the deed and then make sure that the person who is going to sign the instrument conveying the parcel to you is the same person that is on the vesting deed. You can also give the assessor a call just to verify that the owner listed in their records is the same person that you're working with. Although I will say that sometimes the assessor records are different because their records are for tax purposes. So sometimes the person who is paying taxes is going to be different from the actual legal owner. Again, you can give the county clerk a call as well. Sometimes they can be helpful and they can find the deed for you, but they will rarely actually confirm ownership. Now, if you are worried about ownership, or you feel like you're in a little over your head with buying land, this may be your first time, a title search could be a good idea. So the easiest way to verify ownership would be to close through a title company, get the title search done, and also potentially get title insurance. The benefit of this is that they will also check for any other title issues or liens against the parcel. And if you're in a situation where you need to check for that access easement, they could do that as well, but it's going to cost you. So you will have to think about whether an extra $1,000 is worth it to you. Depends on the property, depends on the price, depends on you. And two other notes. So if you are not buying from an individual, if you're buying from an organization, or if you're buying from a trust and you're not going through a title company, just make sure that you get the appropriate document to verify that the correct person representing either the trust or the company will be signing the conveyance document. And that covers our 7 quick tips on buying land. I can talk a lot more about a number of other due diligence items that you may want to do as well. So check out our other videos. We do go into more detail on some other items that we look at. And I'll also say, if you do not know who we are, check out our website. My name is Erica. My company is Gokce Capital. We buy and sell vacant land, but we also have a number of promotions. Our most popular is our free land giveaway. So if you're interested in land, just want to get started, or want a free property, check out the free land giveaway. And I'll also say that for a limited time, we are offering free 15-minute consultation calls for land investors. So if that interests you, send us an email to schedule at info@gokcecapital.com. And then, of course, if you have any questions, please leave us a comment on this video and we will respond to your question, or maybe we'll go into it in our next video. So thank you for listening, and more to come.